Welcome to Catalyze, the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
Today, I would love that we pinpoint a fundamental and very important aspect of business, which is audience building. So irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the stage that you are in with your business, audience building is the most fundamental concept when it comes to entrepreneurship. Audience building is the number one thing that leads to success. And the way how I'm going to go about audience building, I'm going to unravel the way how we take on people, take on businesses to understand that audience building is the ground, it's ground zero for any business, any organization in order to get it going. So let's take 2 steps back and understand why several businesses struggle. And when you boil down all of the failed businesses, all of the failed ventures, most of them, like 95%, they boil down to one thing. They boil down to one concept. And that is because the business did not put enough time, money, effort, and energy to build an audience behind that concept that they are working on. So if you think about a business and you start thinking about the service, about the product, before you start focusing on where you're going to get your audience or what the audience is, the way how the audience is going to receive it, you are fundamentally making one of the biggest mistakes that leads to failure. And even if you're a business and you're already going by, or your business has been fairly successful, but you found yourself that your business has stalled, most probably the problem, the challenge that you are facing is that you're not handling your audience building strategy in the right way. Audience building, as I said, it's the most fundamental concept. And in order to illustrate further how important audience building, then I would love to split down audience building into 3 main audiences. This is the way how we tackle audience building with our clients. So there are 3 different audiences that each and every business has, and they have to look at them in different ways. Failure to do so, you might be working on a particular audience when really and truly you want to grow another audience. So let's start by which are the 3 main audiences. I'm going to first mention the 3 different types of audiences and then take a deeper dive at each and every audience and explain what the properties of that audience is, and also explain the strategies of how you can transition people from one audience to the next. So there are 3 different types of audiences. There's warm audience, cold audience, and stranger audience. But stay with me, because the way how I look at audiences is totally different than the way you get to read about audiences. And the definition of the different audiences is coming after a decade of experience in building audiences for various companies, big and small, at different stages, so launch stage, or after several years of being in business. So let's start off with thinking of your business as the center of the image that we're going to build. right? The audience closest to your business is what the warm audience is. So a warm audience is made up of your most loyal fans, your most loyal followers, clients who have put their money where their mouth is, and they have invested in your business in the sense of they have purchased one of the products or services or multiple products or services. They have given you permission to contact them on one-on-one, like they have given you their phone, their email, and said, hey, if you have something that you are building, or there's an update on the service, or there's a new service related to what we have purchased, we would love to know, we would love to learn more, we would love to be the first to know more. So really and truly, they are the closest to your business. Warm audience, it's really important to understand that the way how to deal with warm audience, because a lot of people think that, yes, in order to be successful, you have to have a massive warm audience, which is myth number one when it comes to warm audience. Yes, every business should have a warm audience, but you don't have to have a massive warm audience in order for your business to be extremely successful. Because if you have all the operations in place, if you have all the offers in place, if you are all eyes and ears to your warm audience, and you're actively listening and engaging with your audience, such as sending them emails, keeping them in the loop, always capturing feedback from your warm audience, these people, they are going to come back to your business and buy more, because they can't get enough of your business. So they are the people that you have to keep close to your business. And once you get them in your warm audience, you have to leverage these people, not simply sell to them, but ask them in order to help you to grow your business. And we're going to go into deeper about this, different strategies that you can use in order to leverage your warm audience. Outside of your warm audience, if there's a warm audience, there's obviously a cold audience. There's the cold audience. Cold audience is made up of the people that have heard about you. They haven't yet taken the plunge and become one of your clients, but they follow you on social media. They haven't yet given you permission to connect with them and to contact them in a one-to-one fashion. So they haven't given you the permission to sell to them. Unlike warm audience is the audience that we sell to. Cold audience, we refrain from selling to cold audience. And there are various reasons why we do this, because we know that the odds are stacked against you when it comes to selling to a cold audience. And not only that, your strategy should focus on how you can grow your cold audience as much as possible, and also have strategies and systems in place to transition people from a cold audience to a warm audience, so then you can sell to the warm audience. So, as I said, the cold audience, they are mostly people who have heard about you. Maybe they've met you on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, whichever social media you use in order to expand your reach. And for some reason or another, they have engaged on one of the pieces of content. When it comes to cold audience, the main goal and the main strategy should revolve about showing up. And this is very important, about showing up to the cold audience and about wowing them, in the sense of you make them wonder, say, how come this brand is always providing value at free of charge? So I wonder what's inside when I become as one of their clients, as one of their a member of their warm audience, right? So the idea should be that you should always show up, should always publish content, you should always be there for your cold audience, even though they are not paying you're paying for the value that you're providing. It's really important that you nurture the cold audience in a one-to-many fashion, so that when the time comes, when they really need the service, they already know about you, they already know about your brand, they have been immersed in your valuable content, and they won't think twice in joining you and become part of your warm audience and buying from you. So that is the most important concept and strategy around how you should deal with your cold audience. Then the rest of the people who have never heard about you, we call them stranger audience. It's really important that you identify the stranger audience, because the stranger audience holds potential for your business, holds potential for growth. If there is no, think about this, if there's no stranger audience, so if you think that your business is so well known that everyone knows about you, and there's no stranger audience, no one that has never heard about your business, about your company, about the services or products that you provide and sell, there's no really room for your brand to expand further, which is unrealistic. But it's really important to know the potential of the stranger audience. And you should have strategies in place in order to get people who are strangers to become part of your cold audience. So when we look at audiences, we look at transitioning from stranger to cold, cold to warm, and then we strictly sell only to warm audiences. So that is the flow that we use. That is the flow that we teach. And that is the flow that we have found that works best. So as I said, stranger audience, they don't know that you exist, that the brand exists. So how can you reach out to them? There are various ways, like paid advertising, influencer marketing. There's both pay to play, like advertising or influencer marketing. There's also showing up, right? Showing up to other people's audiences, like going on podcasts, publishing content on someone else's network. These are all great ideas of how you can turn strangers into say, hey, who's this brand? This is really good content. I would love that I get closer to this brand. I would love to follow this brand. I would love to follow this person in order to learn more, in order to get more immersed in the content that this person or this brand provides. So from stranger audience, from listening to a podcast episode, to eventually hopping on social media and start following you. And then the strategies for the cold audience kick off in order to get people from cold to warm. So it's really important that when you're looking at audience building, you understand how you are targeting different aspects of audience building, how you are getting people from stranger to cold and from cold to warm. What strategies are you using? What KPIs you have in place? And also what's working and what's not working, and which audience needs your desperate attention. And one of the best ways that covers and encompasses, overarches all of the strategies, so moving people from stranger audience to cold to warm, it's by having a brand. This is what we have found out after a ton of experiments, helping hundreds of clients to get a brand that smoothly shifts people from one audience type to the next, is by having a brand that has these two keywords. These are very important keywords. This is after distilling a lot of information, a lot of strategies. The brand should be relatable and it should be referable. These are two magical and very powerful keywords. Because if you think about it, if you have a brand that is relatable, that people can relate to the messaging of your brand, that the offers that you have in place, the way how you distribute your content, the way how you set up your events, the way how you show up to people, it's referable. It's something that people would talk about, would gladly talk about, because it makes them feel better, look better, show up better within their community, within their network. That is where the true leverage is going to be. Because basically you are not only having an audience and building your audience out of your effort, out of the effort that you're putting into marketing and sales, but you are also empowering your audience to help you with your mission and vision in order to grow your different audiences. And this is where things like a referral program comes to play, where you enable and you empower your warm audience, the people that know you, trust you, like you, and align with your vision, mission, and also your products because they have purchased. You empower them and you also engage with them and incentivize them to go out there and turn people from cold audience, might be that they are in a cold audience, into a warm audience, or swiftly get someone who's a total stranger to your brand, right? And become part of a cold audience, and really, really swiftly, because there's a trust link, because there's someone who's vouching for your brand, right? They swiftly shift from cold audience to a warm audience, from stranger to cold, and from cold to warm, and they become your clients. So these are different strategies that you can implement if your brand is relatable and referable. So anything that you do, any offer that you put out there, any piece of content that you put out there, you put it with the intention to be relatable, to have the brand, to make the brand more relatable and also referable, so that people can engage, take action, and refer other people. Now, as I said, it's really important that you have two different things. You have a strategy for each transition, and you also have metrics, and you monitor those metrics for each transition. What do I mean by transition? Transition from a stranger audience to a cold audience, that's one transition. From cold to warm, it's another transition. And from warm to becoming your client, sometimes we call it conversion. So people become your clients. That's another transition. So you have to have strategies in place, and you shouldn't do one strategy and expect a totally different audience to grow. So let me give you an example. You shouldn't do ads with the intention of turning strangers into cold audience, followers on social media, and you expect your revenue to increase. It doesn't make sense. When you have this map in front of you, it doesn't make sense. I've seen a lot of businesses that say, hey, our ads are not hitting the return on investment. But really and truly, the problem is that you are gauging something, you are doing an activity that it might be it's working, it's turning strangers into cold audience, but you are expecting a result somewhere else in another audience. So it's really important that you have strategies for each transition, like ads from stranger to cold, and then from cold to warm, you have a very solid content marketing strategy in order to get them to become part of your warm audience and get them to buy your low ticket offer, mid ticket offer, so on and so forth, to ascend your value ladder, what we call a value ladder, right? So you have to have a strategy in place, and you also have to have metrics in place, because without metrics in place, without knowing exactly what you're doing, how much effort, time, money, resources you're putting into growing a particular audience, right? you would never know what's working and what's not working, what's giving you the return on investment and what's not giving you the return on investment. So let's say you would love to grow your warm audience in order to have a bigger pool of people who you can sell to, who you can show up and sell to, right? And you decided to do content marketing, let's say on one social media, on LinkedIn, just as an example, right? You should know exactly how much time and effort it's taking you, how much effort you're putting in, how much investment you're putting in, and how many people are transitioning from cold audience to a warm audience. And by having that KPI and you're constantly monitoring that KPI week after week, you know exactly that your content marketing, it's working because it's helping you to grow your warm audience. If you need to grow your cold audience and you're doing content marketing, you shouldn't use that KPI and say, how come my cold audience it's not growing, and you're using a strategy to turn people from a cold audience to a warm audience. You should really focus on the KPI, such as ads. How many ads are turning strangers into your cold audience? So just to conclude, this is the most important thing, that first of all, you identify that, first of all, you set as a priority, irrespective of your business, irrespective of whether you're thinking about, you have an idea and you want to turn it into a business, right? Or whether you already have a business going and you want to scale it, you want to take it to the next level. Most probably, if your business has stalled, right? Most probably, like 90% of the cases, it's an audience issue. You are not channeling your efforts in the right audience type. So that's the first thing. Second of all, you should have a very clear understanding of which strategies are targeting which audience type. And also, equally important, you should also have KPIs in place so that you monitor all of your marketing activities for each audience type. Because a business that is successful, a business that is constantly growing, is that business that, first of all, sets audience building as a priority. Second of all, understand the different types of audiences and the way how to approach them. So they would never go and sell to a stranger because they know that's time wasted. They prefer to turn a stranger into a cold audience, get them intrigued, take the time to build a relationship. They know that it's an investment that they have to put in, right? In order to get that person to transition from one audience type to the next. They know that they have to put in the time, effort in order to get that transition in. And then eventually, if they are the right fit, they are going to transition into a warm audience, and they will get to a point where they can buy and become part of the business. So that is the most important aspect. Once you have a clear understanding of the different audience types, stranger, cold, warm, and your business as the fulcrum, as the center of everything, then you can identify where the bottleneck is, and then you would be able to address that bottleneck with the right strategy. You monitor that strategy, and that is where you will get the results that you're looking for. So as I started this talk, audience building is best.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session of Catalyze. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.